So that's what we mean by priced in. This is why when news come out about something now, the market may shoot up about it because the market is in, remember, it's a forward-looking mechanism. So the market will price something in today what it thinks will happen tomorrow. The plays that I did lose on in the beginning of the year, when I say lost, I mean I had to like take a L on them, were plays that were up in March and February. I had to take an L on those plays because it was nothing I can do. You know what I'm saying? I could have cut them earlier. You know, they was up, whatever. I was trying to fight back. But anything that was June, July, August, September, October, bro, I'm still there. Right? Because here's my logic behind the market right now. And I think one of the things I try to do in the Patreon, we had a dope, man, I wish I would have took a snippet of what we did in Trappers Anonymous this week that was real dope Sunday on our call. But one of the things I try to do in the Patreon and kind of in Trappers Anonymous is like pose them with questions and ideas and thought processes that help them navigate during this time. I think in these times it's more than just like putting a play out there. In these times it's more to me than about just making a move. I think in these times it's more so about talking people through certain situations, certain scenarios. What do I see? But also I implore them to mentally see what's going on. And like I posed a question to them today. I said, hey, go see what's going on in the market. Go pay attention to what you see and compare it with what your data says, right? Like if you a chart reader, go look at your charts and see if the charts and what you see is going on. Because what happened is we can look at the charts and they all can match up, but then you can't calculate what's about to be said. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no crazy news that came out the day that made the market fall 2%. Yes, they did had the Ukraine, what it was, Gaza and Israel had gotten some old conflict today. But that's been going on for, 3 years now? You know what I'm saying? So, but the market just got up and was like, nah, bro, we hit a certain point up here, boom, let's go back. You know what I'm saying? You know, NVIDIA been trading between this, just 120 range, 121-ish ranges. Once you get close to it, hey, you go back down, right? No matter what he says. And I told him something in the Trappers Anonymous Sunday, I said something to the squad, and it was like, damn, bro, that makes sense. And so my concept, just about NVIDIA right here, let me just say this. I feel personally that, so we already know that the market is a forward-looking mechanism, right? Which means that whatever is going on now was priced in the past, right? Does that make sense, Jose? Right? Whatever is going on now is priced in the past. So watch what I'm about to say here. NVIDIA had a nice run up, but we know like 2023, 2022, 2023, 2024, it went bonkers, right? We know that, right? That was the beginning of what? The AI talk. Like that was one time when it was like, yo, AI has been mentioned 40 times on this call, right? And so just hear me when I say this again. You can agree, you can disagree, but this, I promise you'll understand what I'm about to say here, right? The market was pricing in the future of AI in 2022, 2023, and 2024. It was pricing that in. What I mean by pricing that in is the market was looking in the future saying, hey, let's take a glimpse in the future. Because we see this in the future, we're gonna price it in right now. Forward-looking mechanism. What happened now is the market has nothing else to price in. It is priced in everything that it can give them. It priced it in 2023 and 2024. It priced it in, which is why now NVIDIA can beat expectations. They priced that in 2024. You know what I'm saying? NVIDIA can say, yep, we about to drop Blackwell. They say, well, we priced that in 2024. You're coming out with another version of Blackwell, that's cool. We priced that in into 2024. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have some AI stuff, we priced that in. So now NVIDIA has to create something new And the thing about creating something new, now they said today that they're going to create some more things. That's cool. But now, before we can price that in, watch this, we got to see the other stuff that we priced in pay off. Does that make sense, Jose? Right? So, and again, it's understanding future expectation. This is why a company can get a new CEO, and the stock will go up. Why would the stock go up when you get a new CEO? Because the market is pricing in the idea of what that CEO can do to this brand. Right? So that's what we mean by priced in. This is why when news come out about something now, the market may shoot up about it because the market is remember, it's a forward-looking mechanism. So the market will price something in today what it thinks will happen tomorrow. Right? Which is why a company, and here's a bold blueprint of that right here. A stock can beat earnings, beat expectation, but if it doesn't give good guidance, the stock will fall. Why? Because those earnings and expectations are from last quarter. It priced that in. Now, this is why earnings, if a stock miss earnings or miss revenue, the stock falls, because we priced that in last quarter that you were going to do good. And if you didn't do good from last quarter, then it's a good chance that you won't do well the next quarter. You will do what? Probably lower your guidance. And if you lower your guidance, and if I'm a forward-looking mechanism and you lower your guidance, then you've given me a bleak estimate on the future. So for NVIDIA, it's a great company, right? It's still the leader of the pack. The market sees more competition coming. Cool. You still are doing great things, but we priced in so much from you from 2023 and 2024 before the split. What we need you to do is we need you now to show us that you are killing it with what you did already before we even price in the next two things you said you're going to drop in 2026 and 2027. Does that make sense, Jose?
You're already cooking, I see.
You feel what I'm saying?
We ain't gotten to a
No.
slide
This is going to be a
That's
very
good.
educational show, so we need them to really lock in today, right? Because I'm going to get in my idea. So, Trap, well, why is the market falling right now if all of these companies are strong like they were? Nothing changed. I'm going to tell you what changed. The reason why tariffs have the market on shaky ground is because tariffs mess up what? Corporate profits. Okay, Trap, why do tariffs, man, share this out, y'all, because Jose, we got 3,900 people in the chat right now. Like, this is going to be a great show, y'all. This is going to be a great show. Again, like last week, I promise y'all, we're going to laugh, we're going to joke, we're going to educate, but I really need y'all to understand this so you can start understanding what's going on. And here's the thing, you can take my perspective and then you can say, okay, I see what Trap said right there. Now let me compare it. I never want you to take my word for law. I want you to take my word, compare it to what you see, and if it works and if it's on point, you say, hey, let me add this to my journal. This is why we tell you to write everything down and take notes when you kind of Trap into it. You have a notebook on it, say, hey, oh, Trap said this, boom, oh, this don't align, I'm gonna X that off. I'm never gonna be the person that say everything I say is 100% accurate. What I will say is that I'm not biased. I am bullish on America, but I ain't biased. I'm bullish on the market, but I'm not biased. So it's a completely different thing. I'm pro-black like I don't know what, but I ain't anti-white. Some of my coolest friends, especially in business right now, is some cool white dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you do the research too.
And I do a lot. I live it.
A lot of research.
I live it. No, I live it, bro. I live it. You have to, watch this. If you know something can change your life, you gotta treat it like it's gonna change your life. You can't know something can change your life and treat it like a hobby. You feel me? Like if you know something can change your life, you gotta treat it like a thing that can change your life, which means I gotta look at CNBC, Bloomberg, I gotta get the Barron's, I gotta get the Wall Street Journal, I gotta get USA Today, but I also gotta read, compare. I live it. I don't really be having time to watch too much. If I take time to watch something, it's because I'm saying, okay, like my brain kind of fried. I need to do something where I don't gotta be, you know what I'm saying? So this changed my life. In every way around, every way. I need us to understand it because we're going to hear about this a lot. We're going to hear macro, and we're going to hear micro. We're going to hear macro data, micro data. We're going to hear macroeconomics, we're going to hear microeconomics, right? We're going to hear that all the time. We're gonna hear that all the time, and we gotta be able to navigate through that so we can understand what they mean by macro and what they mean by micro. Let's get into it. All right, so breaking down the data. Macro data refers to the aggregate or overall information like GDP or national income, while micro data focuses on individual information such as household income or individual spending patterns. So think about this, when you hear macro, we're gonna get a little deeper. So when you hear macro data, you're talking about economy. What's the GDP? Right? You hearing stuff like that. Right? What is the national spending? All right? But when you hear micro, you start hearing about what is each household doing? What is household income spending patterns? What is this house? The average household has this. The average household has that. The average household spend this. The average household spend that. Debt per person, debt per household. But macro, you start hearing like federal spending. What do we? Do I make myself clear? Are we listening to that? Let's go a little further so we can give them a little more breakdown, Jose. Right? Macro data represent, watch this, gross domestic product, national income, inflation, unemployment rates. All these fall under macro data. Large scale perspective, looking at the economy as a whole. Macro data. I know we got a lot of new investors in here, and that's why I told y'all we're going to get busy tonight. Right? Macro. I might re-go over this again next week so they can tap in again to this one because I want them to do homework and I want them to come back. We actually may give them some homework on this. Right? So think about it. Macro data, when they say macro, they're talking overall perspective. They're talking bigger picture. So they say, we don't let the macro data. Just think, when you hear macro, think about it. Think about this. Micro means many, macro means large. Anything microscopic, I put it under a microscope, that's many. Macro, large. Right? So when you're looking at CNBC, you're looking at these things, say, oh, well, the macro data says, you say, oh, they're looking at, inflation rates, national income, unemployment rates. Why does this help? Because this gives an idea of the overall, the grand scheme of how the economy is moving, positive or negative. Let's go a little further. But when we look at micro data, we talking about what? Individual income, household spending patterns, consumer demographics, employee performance data. And think about this. So now when you hear we have a data report and you hear it, PPI, CPI, consumer price index, wholesale index. Okay, Trap, now I understand why these things matter. Because in order to gauge the economy, you got to look at it from both lenses. What are we doing on a personal level and what are we doing on an entire national level? So, are people spending more money? What is that, macro or micro? Are people making more money? Household income, personal debt, national debt, personal spending, national spending, debt per household, debt per person, debt per the economy, debt per the nation. So this is why certain numbers move the market like crazy and other numbers, it depends on where the market is at sentimentally based on these things. So again, when you hear macro, when you hear micro, you got to understand what they talking about. And now you can start saying, oh, this makes sense to me now. Why is this important, y'all? Because my goal is to help us learn how to navigate the market based on the data. Because if we can understand the data, we can understand how to move in the game.